All right, everybody, welcome to the Kentucky Dance Academy orientation for our 2024-2025 season. My name is Amanda Whites Keller. I'm the Academy Director here, and I'll just be walking you through all of the information. And a note that does say parent orientation, but this is for any grown-up involved in any of our dancers' lives and all of our dancers too. Today's agenda, we're going to talk through dress code, studio culture, financial information, class cancellations and makeup classes, performance opportunities, progression through the levels, and community building. A reminder here that all of this information can be found in our handbook that's updated. When you enrolled, you should have gotten a link to our KDA Families Google folder. The handbook will be in there along with some other announcements and important information that we'll update throughout the year. So let's start with dress code. Dress code basics. Dance wear is kind of a one and done. You don't need underwear under your leotard or tights. Some people feel more comfortable, and that's also fine, but sometimes we see younger dancers, especially, be embarrassed if their underwear shows through their tights and under their leotard. So something to consider is there's no need for underwear under it. Um, Dancers may want sports bras if they're feeling uncomfortable with their chest size or they feel like their leotards aren't supportive enough, and dance belts for male dancers or dancers with penises. Those just make us feel more comfortable. We suggest probably age 11 is a good time to start with dance belts. And bras, it's up to the dancer, but usually 11 or 12 is when we start seeing dancers need those. Um, Hair should be secured away from your face at all times. It depends on your class. Ballet has different expectations than hip hop, for example. Um, if your hair is shorter, you can just get it back with clips or headbands just so it's not in your eyes. And then if your hair is long enough to be in a ponytail works. And then if it's even longer, it needs to be in a bun. And that's going to help your teacher see the placement of your neck and your head. It's going to make sure that your hair doesn't get into your eyes, and it's going to keep us safe. Dancers are always expected to follow dress code, and we always run into issues with this. Um, but if a dancer is having a specific concern regarding modesty, body image, comfort in the recommended dress code, then just talk to your teacher and talk to me, and we'll figure out what's going to work. Because really, at the end of the day, what's most important is that your teachers can see your alignment and that they can help keep you safe and your body safe. Um, and also that every dancer feels comfortable and doesn't feel um, like spotlighted in an unkind way because of their bodies and what they're asked to wear. If a dancer is out of dress code twice in a row, then I'll reach out or a teacher will reach out to whoever your grown up is and just let them know what's going on and make sure that they have all the resources that they need to make sure that all the dancers are in dress code. Also, the teachers and I had our staff meeting, and if it is a safety issue, then we'll have to have that dancer not participate in anything that could be unsafe because of a dress code issue. This is just an example of how to do a ballet bun. This is the way that I usually do it. It really depends on your hair texture and length, but there are a million YouTube tutorials and little like photo walkthroughs like this. This is another option for buns if you want to use like a donut that goes over your ponytail and you wrap your hair around it. That's also fine. This is our youth division dress code. I won't read every single thing in here because I trust you guys to read it yourself. Um, Generally, leotard and tights, or for male identifying dancers, play clothes or exercise clothes. Youth division for me and my grown up, as well as tiny twirlers. You're going to need ballet shoes and tap shoes. Um, and then for special needs dance, usually we stick with ballet shoes. Sometimes for performances, we might wear something different. And then for beginning dance, for beginning ballet, jazz, and contemporary, they would need ballet shoes and jazz shoes. And then access to bare feet. So transition tights, those are the kind with a hole in the bottom of the foot. And then for beginning tap, acro, and hip hop, they'll need tap shoes and hip hop shoes, which are sneakers that are secure. No like slides or anything because those can make us trip. Preferably shoes that are only worn in the studio. So maybe like a dance specific kind of sneaker and access to bare feet again. This is where we get into the pre-pro division. This is level 1 through 7. Same idea here, leotard of any color for most of our dancers. Pinker skin tone tights. We do wear skin tone tights for most of our performances. Pinker skin tone ballet or point shoes, depending on your level. Level 4 and up have been approved for point and have been fitted and gone through that process. Level 3 and below are going to be in technique shoes. Um, Female identifying dancers are also welcome to wear a skirt for point or for variations or even in technique classes. That's usually okay. And then a lot of our dancers feel better with tight fitting shorts. And so these aren't like the Nike running shorts. These are like booty shorts, like tight fitting ones. So we can still see your placement. And then male identifying dancers, solid color tee or tank, just nothing with anything like graphic or inappropriate on it. Men's tights or shorts or athletic pants, something tight fitting so we can see. And then usually black or white ballet shoes or skin tone, depending on what performance we're going into. And then a bun is a must in dance class. We'll talk about this with your dancers in their first classes to make sure we're all on the same page. Onto the jazz dress code. Jazz is black everything. So leotard and black bottoms, tights or shorts or jazz pants or leggings. Skin tone tights are also fine if they want to do that. And then all of our dancers will need warm-ups. So like a hoodie or sweatpants or something to do the warm-up to get sweaty so they're safe to go into other progressions. It's pretty much the same for male and female identifying dancers. Contemporary is pretty much the same on training days. So days that we're just working on technique, it'll be the same as jazz. So um, black on black or any color and skin tone. And warm-ups for when they're getting nice and sweaty at the top of class so they're safe to move on. On a combination day, there might be days that Miss Brittany has given them like a character they're working on and a dance they're working on. So they are allowed to dress up for those days and she will communicate that to those dancers. For tap, this is one that is more flexible because tap is mostly about sound and less about looking at like physically how the body is stacking. So dancers can wear warm-ups for this class. Make sure that you can still move fully and make sure that you have your tap shoes because if you do not have your tap shoes, you are not going to be able to do tap dancing. Next is acro. This is a big one for safety because acro is similar to gymnastics and has a lot in common with gymnastics. We can't have any earrings, necklaces, bracelets, rings, since those can hurt somebody else or hurt a dancer. A leotard has to be worn or a really tight fitting like Lululemon top. And then you have to have bare feet so you don't slip. Any shirts that are going to fly up or hoodies that are going to fly up when the dancers are upside down is just not safe. It's not safe for the instructors to spot them, and it's not safe for the dancers because they can't see. Um, so make sure acro is one of the ones that this is truly a safety issue, and then make sure that we're always barefoot for acro so we have more grip with our feet and we're not in socks or tights. For theater dance, black and black, just like jazz, almost identical to jazz. For this class, our female identifying dancers wear character shoes. Those are kind of like tap shoes or like a high-heeled Mary Jane. We do have some in our store upstairs. It's usually about an inch and a half heel, sometimes a little lower if they're smaller, a little higher if they're bigger. There aren't any metal taps on the bottom, but this is a class where they learn how to dance in heels safely. And then for hip hop, kind of the same as tap, it is a little bit more relaxed since it is not necessarily a safety issue a lot of the time. Make sure that you can move fully. Make sure if you are going to do any acro tricks in hip hop, sometimes there is a crossover there, that you do have something tight fitting or a leotard under anything baggy. And then a big one that we've run into in the past is that you have to have shoes with a back on them. So like a sneaker is ideal. Ideally, perfect scenario, a sneaker that you only wear in dance class. So you're not tracking in yucky stuff from outside. But if you are in slides or if you're in like sandals, you're not going to be allowed to participate because that's not safe. You're going to trip, and we don't want that. And then adult hip hop, same as regular hip hop. Anything you can move in, make sure you're wearing shoes with a back on them so you don't trip or hurt yourself. And then just a note here, a reminder that if your dancer takes 2 or more classes with us, any of your grown-ups can add adult hip hop for free. So just shoot me a message and we'll get you in that class. So there's a nice little fun ready for class or not ready for class. At the end of the day, we really want you to look ready to dance. We want you to be safe. We want to see your body, and we want to be sure that we're respecting your modesty and your body image, but also being really cautious that we're keeping you safe. These are some resources I highly recommend that you will go through and look for these and look up more on skin tone versus pink tights. There has been a shift in more recent years in the ballet world. Pink tights are rooted in white supremacy, since it was believed that only white dancers were dancers that were worth considering. And pink tights were closer to like a Caucasian skin tone under the stage lights. And so we've changed our expectations, and our dancers are still permitted to wear pink if they want to. But for performances, especially, we like all of our dancers in skin tone tights. So it honors who they are, and it actually looks a lot nicer on stage. It looks really pretty. If you need some resources to buy dance wear, there are 2 great dance stores. Neither of them are in Frankfurt, unfortunately. Dance Biz in Lexington has a huge selection of shoes, everything you could ever need, jazz, tap shoes, ballet shoes, point shoes, all the things, as well as leotards and tights and bags, anything you could ever want. Kinney Dancewear in Louisville is also a great resource if you want to drive about the same distance the other direction from Frankfurt. Kinney's is my go-to for point shoe fittings. They have a really well-trained staff. So if you are having issues with your point shoes and you would like a professional opinion, I strongly recommend Kinney Dancewear. We also have a small store on the 2nd floor. It is the last store on your right in our building. We do have some gently used leotards. We have some t-shirts and studio merch from past years. We have a ton of gently used shoes. This is great if you have a kiddo who's still growing because you can grab a used pair of shoes for $5 because you know they're going to outgrow them quickly. And you can grab anything you need right in town. We do have a ton of tights, and we try to sell them as cheaply as we can because we get them wholesale. So if you do need any tights, we have tons and tons and tons and lots of colors and lots of sizes. There's also online. Discount Dance Supply is a great like specific dancewear site. Dancewear Solutions is another one that's great and has everything that you could possibly need. Always Amazon. What I recommend for pretty much everything but point shoes is wherever you can get it the cheapest, do that. There's no reason to spend extra if you don't have to. Point shoes are a different animal. I would recommend singing dancewear. We do things at KDA. So I'm just going to read the highlights and we'll talk through it a little bit. Being early is on time, being on time is late, and being late is unacceptable. Obviously, there's going to be times that your dancer is going to run late, and everybody has those days. Lord knows I have those days. But generally, you want your dancer to get to the studio at least 10 minutes early. So they have time to prep themselves, get their hair up in a bun, make sure they have all their shoes, change for class if they need to. And then another big thing that we noticed last year in particular is dancers that came early had a lot more time to socialize and see their friends, which is so valuable. And then they didn't take away class time doing that. So if you are able and transportation is available, if your dancer's here early, that's even better because they'll have time to form those friendships and have socialization time before we get into work in the classes themselves. This is a big one. The studio is for dancing, not for talking, eating, running, swinging, we all know this, and there are days that we do fun stuff in the studio. Orientation day is one of those days. We have like activities, we have snacks. Sometimes we're going to have like parties in the studio. Sometimes we'll have like activity days with like bonding work. So this isn't a hard and fast rule, but for most of the days, most of our dancers are in class. The studio should be just for dancing. Something we've run into in past years is younger siblings feeling so comfortable that they go into classes in progress. So we're going to try to nip that in the bud. We really want to make sure that the studio is just for the dancers taking class. Same with adults, as long as there's not an issue of separation anxiety. We're going to really work on getting all of our dancers independently into class, and grown-ups will wait for them out in the hallway or in their car, whatever you decide to do. But making sure that we're keeping the studio a special space and a space that is dedicated to dancing. Dancers say thank you to their instructors. This is something I'm always very proud of when we have guests come in, that our dancers know to curtsy or bow and to say thank you at the end of each class. And then dancers follow the rules out of respect. I come from a very traditional dance background, and a lot of times in traditional studio cultures, the dancers were always so afraid of being in trouble that they would follow rules because they didn't want to be in trouble. And so instead, I would love our dancers to follow these rules because they love what they do. They love the community we have, they love the space we have, and they know that the highest form of respect is following the rules and helping everybody follow those rules. And then this is another big one. Perfection is the goal, but mistakes are part of the journey. I don't know which begets which, but a lot of perfectionists flock to dancing. I'm not sure if we just like encourage that kind of mindset, or if just type A people tend to like dancing, or a little bit of both. But we attract a lot of perfectionists, and there's a lot of times that as a dancer, you have this high expectation of yourself and you want to be perfect, and you can get really down on yourself when you're not. But part of what we do here, we want a growth mindset. So mistakes are going to happen. If you've ever seen a baby learn how to walk, they fall a lot. All of us are baby dancers. We're going to make a lot of mistakes, and that is okay. That is part of the process. On to financial information. Our tuition policies are pretty straightforward. Um, we don't charge anything that we don't have to. So we don't do a withdrawal fee, we don't do an enrollment fee. Since you all enroll online, that would be silly. It's not a lot of work on us to add you to the roster. If you withdraw, then we stop your payments. We'll refund whatever we can, make sure everything's prorated. We don't want to nickel and dime you. Our loyalties are with you guys as our clients and our families, and not the other way around. All of our instructors make as much as we can pay them, what is considered a fair wage for their expertise. Each instructor has a career, a wide and varied career, lots of experience. All the teachers make the same amount. And then we also pay either in tuition reimbursement or direct paychecks, all of our assistants in classes as well. So your tuition, number one, goes towards paying your teachers and paying then for the facility itself. That's our next thing. Our final priority is making sure that our facility is the best possible. So we have lots of space. That's important. We have high quality flooring. We make sure that we have good quality bars and mirrors and sound systems. Maintaining the facility and making sure that everything we have is up to date and safe and the best that we can provide. Monthly due dates, just so these are in your brain. When you signed up, that took your first month of tuition. And so your next month of tuition, if you joined anytime in the summer, your next month is going to be September 1st. If you joined mid-month, we'll cancel that and we'll prorate the next month. Tuition is calculated by taking the whole number of classes and then dividing it by 10. So in August to May sessions. is the same monthly. So even if one month has three classes due to whatever, and one month has five, you're going to pay the same amount because that's just easier for you all to plan for. Um, Tuition is due automatically on the first. That is easy for me to change. Just make sure that you send me an email so we have a paper trail. Um, Anything that you need with your payment plan, tuition date adjustments, anything like that, just make sure that I have an email about it so we have that paper trail and I make sure I stay on top of things and that I have everything documented because I don't want to overcharge anything. Any additional fees that are going to come up, tuitions that is more than 5 days late gets an automatic $25 late fee. I don't like to charge this, so if you know you're going to be late, just let me know and I can cancel that because that's silly. Um, we do have some performances, and those would be additional fees as well. Um, these are the due dates for those, and we're going to talk about these more in depth in just a minute. But September 7th is a dancer versus cancer participation fee. October 12th is the Nutcracker participation fee. And January 18th is our spring performance of Peter Pan participation fee. Other than tuition, these are the only other fees that you need to have on your radar, and these are not required. That's super important to know. If for some reason you need to withdraw from classes, you don't need to justify it. Things change, schedules change, custody changes, interest change. No big deal. Um, we're assuming that everybody's going to dance with us from whenever you begin, ideally August, all the way until May. That's not always true, and that's okay. If you know that your dancer is going to withdraw, it is easiest if you let us know before your tuition is taken out on the first of the next month. Uh, but like again, things change, so you can't always do that. Um, Make sure that when you decide that you're going to withdraw, that you email me so I know that and I can cancel any pending payments you have. We can also reimburse if your dancer hasn't been able to attend classes for a while, or if for some reason you got charged again and you shouldn't have. Um, we keep attendance books so I can go back and look and make sure that I prorate whatever I can. If you have your instructor's contact information, go ahead and let them know. I will also do that on my end, and then make sure that you just get a confirmation and then the correct amount of refund or prorate or whatever. Next one is class cancellations and makeup classes. Weather cancellations always happen, probably not until the winter time, but you never know. In the event of bad weather, we will announce on social media, we'll use our band app, and we'll email. For evening classes, we go ahead and announce by 1 o'clock what our decision is going to be. Um, if you have a morning class the next day that is specifically for Saturday classes, we'll tell you the night before by 9. Generally, we follow what Franklin County schools do. That's not always 100% true. Sometimes there's like a little dusting of snow that makes it hard for buses in the morning, but then by afternoon it's going to be clear. So it's not a hard and fast rule, but generally, if Franklin County is out, we are also out. Last year we did have more cancellations for like storms, like tornadoes, than snow, but that just varies year to year. Sometimes there will be a day of the week that gets hit harder than others. If you have class on, say, a Monday, and you have two or more weather-related cancellations, sorry, there's kiddos in the building, so you can probably hear them playing. Then we'll have a specific makeup day, and usually we do that on spring break or at the end of the season. If you just have one weather cancellation, then we just chalk that up to bad luck. Makeup classes are a different thing unless it is a studio-wide, like Susan missed 2 classes, we're going to do a makeup. Um, a makeup class for an individual is ultimately the responsibility of the family and the dancer. We keep track of the attendance, and if you have a question, you are more than welcome to look at the attendance book if like your dancer has a minute in class to look at it, or you can ask me or your teacher and we can count it up for you. It's not secret information, so we'll just let you know how many you've missed. Um, a makeup class generally for youth division Um, if you're not in special needs or me and my grown up, because they only meet once a week, if you're in tiny twirlers or beginning dance, they're usually the same class on a different day at a different time. You can just jump into that as a makeup class and it's no issue. For me and my grown up in special needs, you can reach out to us and we'll suggest a class that would work. Usually we go with like a calm, smaller class if we can of a similar age group. So for me and my grown up, that would be a tiny twirlers class. For special needs, it would depend on the dancer. Um, Pre-professional division, because usually those classes are only once a week, like Jazz 1 is only once a week. Usually what we'll do is suggest bumping up a level or down a level as a makeup class. So if you are in Jazz 3, then you could take a makeup class with Jazz 4, 5, or you could take a makeup class with Jazz 1, 2. But if you have any questions, we can always point you in the right direction. If it's a class where you're working on choreography or you miss something really specific, we can also figure out a time for a private lesson with that instructor. Performance opportunities, the fun stuff. So our first one coming up, and it comes up fast, is Dancer versus Cancer. This is a community collaboration with the American Cancer Society. The past 2 years, we've done it at the Relay for Life event outside in a non-traditional performance. This year, since Relay for Life has taken a different pathway, and is happening in August, which would be a really tight turnaround for us, we instead have rented the Grand, and it's a one night only performance, and it's pay what you can. And so once we earn back our $1,000 rental from the Grand, everything else is going to go to the American Cancer Society on behalf of our studio. This is a really nice opportunity for our dancers to use dance for something larger than just their own accolades and their own self. This is a performance with minimal costuming sets outside rehearsal time. We try to keep this as simple as possible since this is like mostly just for like good deeds and community involvement. Um, what we've done in the past and what we'll continue to do this year is it's open to all of our non-ballet classes. So these are the classes that maybe don't get to be as showcased in like Nutcracker time. This gives them another opportunity to perform. So beginning tap, acro, and hip hop is our youngest class that's going to participate. And then all of our pre-professional jazz, tap, hip hop, theater, dance, contemporary, and acro classes are welcome. We'll see with ballet classes if we want to do that. That'll be at the discretion of the ballet instructors. We'll see like what our time looks like, what our focus needs to be. In the past, we've been so focused on Nutcracker, it's been hard to do both. This participation fee is lower. This is a $40 participation fee for everybody. You'll get a t-shirt and that will be the majority of your costume. Usually what we've done in the past is black leggings and then appropriate shoes based on whatever you're performing. And that'll take care of that. There might be additional Saturday rehearsals, especially if we're combining some classes and they need a rehearsal together. But other than that, all of the choreography is going to be done in class. The participation date again is on September 7th. We'll have that up in the storefront where you all can just purchase that and add it to your cart. And then the performance day is Wednesday, October 9th. That's on our spring break. We'll do a dress rehearsal at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, and then the performance at 7, and that's it. So it is easy peasy, and we will send out more detailed information about this as we get closer to that due date, so we're all on the same page. Nutcracker is a big kahuna one. Participation fee for the Nutcracker is due on October 12th. This covers your costumes, your rehearsals, your theater rental, prop and scenery, all the incidentals. The prices are different based on age. So me and my grown-up and special needs is $60, youth division is $80, and pre-professional division is $90. These performances do require Saturday rehearsals. We do not do them in class unless you are in me and my grown-up and special needs. All the other rehearsals take place on Saturdays from October 19th to December 7th, minus November 29th, which is the week of Thanksgiving. Some of our pre-pro classes will rehearse in class times, but that's only if all of our dancers are participating. We don't want to leave anybody out. Usually you can expect for most dancers, the rehearsals are going to be about half an hour to 2 hours in length, depending on your age. Obviously, Our 3-year-olds are not here for 2 hours. And schedules and casting will be announced as soon as we have that participation fee in. So that should say 14th, not 4th. I'm not a psychic. I can't cast it before everybody has their participation fees in. There are mandatory dress rehearsals for this on December 12th and December 19th. We do have 2 casts, and this is a slight change from previous years. Youth division will only do one of those weekends. If you have a preference, then I'll take that into consideration and try to put your dancer on the weekend that works for you. Otherwise, I'll just decide if it doesn't matter. Pre-pro dancers in the past have always done both weekends. This year we are making it optional. So if your pre-professional dancer of any level only needs to do one weekend, we'll only do one weekend for them. And that is up to your discretion because this is a big performance. There's a lot of time involved, and we do know that. So we will send out more information when we get closer for this. Same deal, we'll have it up on that ClassBug storefront so you can add it to your cart and purchase it that way. In our last one, we will be meeting with the Grand shortly to find out dates for this. This will be Peter Pan. That'll be our spring performance. And this is the first time we've done Peter Pan, so it's exciting. This is a full studio performance, but you are not required to be on stage. If your dancer doesn't like to be on stage, they do not have to, but understand that some of the rehearsal time is going to happen in class. And so in class, usually when we get closer to performance time, a lot of the work is going to be in choreography. If your dancer's not participating, they'll still have a spot, they'll still learn along, there's still value in that. But if they don't want to be on stage, they don't have to. Participation fee does come up early. That's on January 18th to make sure that we have enough time to order all the costumes and get everything set for the show. For youth division, it is $60 for your initial or only class, and then $40 for each additional class. That would only apply for youth division to the beginning dance classes. So if your dancer takes the beginning package, so beginning ballet, jazz, and contemporary, and beginning tap, acro, and hip hop, they would pay $60 for their first class and $40 for their additional class, so $100 total for their costumes. Same deal for pre-pro, $70 for their initial or only class and $50 for each additional class. So if your dancer takes jazz and acro, then they would pay $70 for their first class and then $50 for the additional class. All rehearsals are going to be during their usual class times. Some of our older dancers in leading roles might come into younger classes as like a scene that they're involved in, or they might have extra rehearsals. Dress rehearsals are, again, required, and we'll have those dates as soon as we can. We're just checking with the Grand to see their availability, but we do it in April for sure, to avoid all of the school stuff that happens in May. So we usually are somewhere near the middle to end of April, avoiding Easter and trying to avoid any conflicts with schools. Rehearsal attendance policy is a big one. We want to make sure that all of our dancers have an 80% attendance rate for any performance. And that is to make sure that everybody is adequately prepared, without being, too demanding and asking for 100%. That would be unreasonable, but 80% means they're here most of the time. They won't miss out on too much. They'll still be able to perform without any issues. If they fall below that, they're going to have to do some extra rehearsals with their instructor or choreographer based on their discretion. If your dancer is above an 80% attendance rate but still needs a little extra TLC, we can absolutely add any extra rehearsals they might want. That is always fine. Some of the dancers asked me at the end of last year if I could calculate exactly how many classes that would be for everybody. So I rounded up when we got crazy numbers, but we will post these. We'll make sure everybody has them. When you start getting close to falling below that 80%, then I will let you know, or your teacher will let you know. For Dancer versus Cancer, because it comes up so fast, everyone in every class, you can miss one and it's no big deal. After that, you'll probably want to make up class because we don't have very long. Nutcracker, I just did the ballet classes, even though everybody is welcome to perform. It is mostly our ballet students. Um, Level one, because they come once a week, you can have 3 absences. Level two is 6 absences. Level three is 8, and then 4 through 7 is 12. When you get close to that, I will let you know, so you know you're right on that edge. And then Peter Pan by class is another one that's a little complicated. I'll let you read through all of those. And again, I will let you know if you're getting close to any of those. If for some reason you need to withdraw from a performance, things happen and we can figure it out. Make sure that you let me know right away. Email is best again, just paper trails are everything. If you have your instructor's contact information, make sure they know as soon as possible as well. Usually, I've already ordered costumes, so we're not able to completely refund those. But if I can, I will. So it really depends. Costume prices are going up, so I might not be able to refund as much, but if I can, I will. Since you paid for it, the costume is yours, or you can donate it to us and we can reuse it some way in the future. Or if somebody wants to perform and they weren't able to, we sometimes can pass that on to the next dancer in line that wanted to perform. Um, all of the amount to refund, we'll talk through that. It's a case by case because it really depends on a lot of things. We also have to take into account that the choreographer or instructor might need to spend extra time resetting the dance and re-choreographing parts. So we have to pay them for that time as well. It's the most difficult when it's closer to performance time, for sure. So if you have an inkling, let us know as soon as you do, and then we'll keep everybody like low stress about it. This performance withdrawal policy does not apply to severe illness or hospitalizations, personal emergencies, or family emergencies. If you feel like one of these applies, then let us know and we will like take that on a case by case because we're not going to penalize you if it's something that's totally outside of your control. Next is progression through levels. Youth division is easy. It's pretty much age at the time of enrollment. Every kid's different. So sometimes if you're like 2, almost 3, it might be more beneficial to go ahead and bump you up a level. Sometimes if you're struggling for some reason or you just need a little longer working on some skills or some social stuff, maybe you're 6, but you need another year in tiny twirlers, and that would be okay too. Generally, it's okay, and we'll just stick with whatever your age is. There are times that that's not practical, so we just take that on a case by case. And then for pre-professional, that's where that stops being so age-based, and that's where it gets a little trickier. Um, we begin pre-pro at age 8. Again, if you're close to the cusp of 8, sometimes we'll bump you up a little early. Sometimes we'll hold you back a little longer. Depends on the person. And then after that, once you're in level 1, it depends on your mastery of the skills and the comprehension of the concepts because they're all building blocks. So what we do is we follow our curricula, and you are welcome to look at those. They're on the website. You can ask any questions you want to your teachers. We talk through what is being looked at, especially at the end of the year after our spring performance. We talk about with every class what we're looking for to move on to the next level. And the dancers should be pretty well aware of what they're expected to be able to do. It is not weird to spend more than 1 year at a level. There's only 7 dance levels and like 12 grades in school. So it's not a bad thing to spend a couple years in a level. It can be disappointing for sure, or it can be frustrating, but it's not bad. So often we'll have dancers spend a couple years in level 2, a couple years in level 4. Um, it's all skills based and maturity based and making sure that all of our dancers are ready for that next step and we're keeping them safe and we're keeping them in. If you want to use the curricula as a tool, we share that with everybody. You can refer to it, you can ask questions. It's on our website, so please feel free to look at all of those. Every year we do evaluations. I do that starting at beginning dance, and then we go all the way through pre-pro. It includes everything that we're working on that year and an assessment of how we're progressing. Every teacher does it a little bit differently. Sometimes it's more of like a free form paragraph written about their dancing and how they've improved and changed and what we're working on. Sometimes it's like a 1 through 5 scale. It depends on the teacher and it depends on the dance style because it really depends style to style what works. And these are just tools for dancers to assess their growth and get personalized feedback. Sometimes you don't have the time to spend as long as you want to explaining everything to every dancer. And this is really nice as a teacher to be able to make sure all the information is getting to them. Um, in the past, and what I think we'll continue doing is having a Google folder for each dancer, and we load those on. Some of our teachers have trouble with that. I'm going to try to work out those kinks because that's really a Miss Amanda problem, and technology is hard. So I'll keep working on that. Point work is a big one. Um, to be on point, we have a pretty rigorous screening process. We take it really seriously because point work is one aspect of dance training that can injure the dancer long term. And we really want to avoid that. All dancers want point shoes. They are also eager. That happens usually at the end of level 3. So all of starting really as early as level 1, we start building up the muscles and the skills we're going to need. Usually after spring performance in level 3 is when we'll have a physical therapist come in for a screening to give us some feedback on strength, any instability they notice, anything that we should be working on to make sure the dancers are strong and solid. Um, we get the physical therapist input. If we have any questions, we refer our dancers to another doctor just in case we have larger questions about anything. And then after that, they are cleared to go be fitted for their first pair of point shoes. And we start that whole process. And usually, when you get your point shoes, you'll move on to level 4 the following year. Um, it's not a reflection of talent, it's not a reflection of ability. It's very much safety based because really, this is probably the one dance skill and dance milestone that can have some really long-term ramifications on their health and their longevity as a dancer. Summer classes and intensives. I know we just finished summer. It feels crazy to talk about going into next summer. But we do have intensives and summer classes. Um, Overall, summer break, like we should use at least parts of it for rest. Dancers have to rest their athletes. But also, this is a great time without school interruptions and without other obligations that school brings for dancers to really focus on training. So it's a really exciting time for us too. Any dancers who have point shoes are required to dance during the summer. So they can dance somewhere else. They can dance with us. We have intensive weeks. Usually we have 2 of those. They can do private lessons. We'll work with whatever we need to do to make that happen. But we need to be sure that like while we're resting, we're still continuing that strength because point strength is very specific. If you don't dance in the summer, you cannot be on point in the Nutcracker. For younger dancers that don't have point shoes, it's more optional. If they want to do an intensive, it's a great opportunity. I highly recommend it. But if they are traveling or they are doing other interests, that's okay too. Private lessons are something that come up sometimes. Some studios really encourage them for all their dancers all the time. We are not one of those studios. Um, our private lessons, number one, we have them available if we have a dancer who has scheduling conflict, who needs one-on-one training for some reason. And we do that on a case-by-case basis. Sometimes like the class environment isn't right for them. Sometimes their family doesn't have like the ability to get them here after school for whatever reason. That's one reason that private lessons may be necessary. As makeup classes, if they know they're going to miss and fall below that 80% attendance they need to perform, that's another reason we would need to do private lessons. Or maybe they have hit like some sort of mental or physical block. They're having a hard time grasping a concept. Maybe they need some one-on-one time just to like get over that barrier, just to like get caught up. Or maybe they're joining a class late and they just want to be sure that they're ready to jump in with their peer group. So if you want to schedule private lessons, um, you can contact your instructor directly, whoever it is. You can also ask me, and I can connect you guys if that's easier and you don't have their contact stuff. Private lessons are always welcome as long as there's not another class going on. We would like somebody to use the studio, and we as a studio, we don't charge our instructors or families to use the space for private lessons. You just pay the instructor directly, and their rate is based on their experience and what they generally charge. It's usually between $30 and $50 an hour. Usually it's about 30 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on what you're working through. And again, we don't charge instructors or students for a rental fee for private lessons here. Community building, more fun stuff. Studio communication, you can expect a weekly update email every Friday throughout the dance season. Sometimes I might do it a little early, sometimes I might do it a little late. This year in particular, I am pregnant, and so I will have my daughter at the end of October, maybe whenever she decides to join us. So in that case, we might like miss a week, or it might be a little early or a little late. Another instructor might take over the weekly update. Um, we use the email that you have from registration, but we can add an unlimited number of additional emails to that list, and we use MailChimp. So if you want to add anybody, grandma or somebody who brings your kid pretty consistently, just tell me and I'll add them to the mailing list. We also have a band app, and I'll make sure that everybody has access to that and you know how to join our band. And usually I just copy and paste all the emails in there. I'll put little reminders in there if there's anything special happening that week. And sometimes it's helpful if email just like bogs you down. Having the band notification can sometimes be really helpful. And then final thing, questions, comments, concerns, you can always ask us. There is no such thing as a silly question. There's no such thing as like a dumb question. Anything that you need, you can always ask us. And yeah, we look forward to dancing with you soon. Thank you.